Sham Vishnu Param Samrachik Chara Shtotra Shatis Langris, Vacharan the Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Chai. Sham Vishnu Param Samrachik Chara Shtotra Shatis Langris, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Chai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Chai. Rantaraj Srila Prabhupada Ki Chai. Jai Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1. Genealogical table of the daughters of Manu, text 28. Okay, please repeat. Eko Mayeha Bhagavan Vivida Pradhanesh Chiti Krita Prachananaya Katam no Yuyam Atra Gatastanu Britam Manasopi Budurat Prota Prasidatamaha Niyavismayome Eko Mayeha Bhagavan Vivida Pradhanesh Chiti Krita Prachanaya Katam no Yuyam Atra Gatastanu Pritam Manasopi Durat Ruta Prasidatamaha Niyavismayome Eko Mayeha Bhagavan Vivida Pradhanesh Chiti Krita Prachananaya Katam no Yuyam Atra Gatastanu Pritam Manasopi Durat Ruta Prasidatamaha Niyavismayome Eko Mayeha Bhagavan Vivida Pradhanesh Maye Bhagavan Pradana. Okay, so translation of Prabhupada's to language Vajra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, Atrimuni is speaking, as you might remember those written it, saying, I called for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, desiring a son like him, and the thought of him only. But although he is far beyond the mental speculation of man, all three of you have come here. Kindly let me know how you have come, for I am greatly bewildered about this.
मैंने तो पूर्ण पुरुषोत्तम भगवान की समाप्ति की इच्छा से उन्हीं का आह्वान किया था और मैंने उन्हीं का चिंतन किया था यद्यपि ये मनुष्य की मानसिक कल्पना से परे हैं किंतु आप तीनों यहाँ पर उपस्थित हुए हैं तो क्या मुझे बताएं कि आप यहाँ कैसे आए हैं क्योंकि मैं इसके विषय में अत्यधिक मोहग्रस्त हूँ।
Purport. Atrimuni was confidently aware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Lord of the universe, so he prayed for the one Supreme Lord. He was surprised, therefore, that three of them appeared. Makamatam Svetaram Shanashadakya Chaksharam Vedatanya Tasma Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Vishram Stapitam Yena Putale Svayam Rupakadam Vedam Swapalantikam Andeham Shri Guru Shri Atapalakamaram Shri Guram Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagachatam Sahakanarakunantam Vitantam Sachivam Sarvaitam Sarvadutam Parichana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagara Lalita Shri Vishwakam Sta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangaya Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabha Sute Devi Anamami Devi Panchakalpadurabhascha Kripasindyava evacha Patitanam Bhavanayo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for having me here and tolerating me here speaking also, not even in your language. So we are in Srimad Bhagavatam, very beginning of fourth canto now, and as you might remember, end of third canto was about Mother Devahuti and Kadama Muni, who begot the Supreme Lord Kapila. So, and this chapter title here is the genealogical table of the daughters of Manu. So that's. So. So that Manu that is referred to here is Swayambhu Manu, the first Manu. As you know, there's in one day of Brahma there are 14 Manus, 14 Manvartas. And so he had 3 daughters and 2 sons. And so one of the daughters was Mother Devahuti, who was married to Kadama Muni, a great sage, and they begot Lord Kapila, and also 9 daughters. And now one of those 9 daughters is Anasuya, who got married to Atri Muni. And so now in the last several verses we heard how Atri Muni, on the order of his father, Lord Brahma, went to perform austerities along with his wife, Anasuya. And he was praying to the Supreme Lord with the desire to have a son who is just like the Lord himself. And now in the previous verses we heard how not only Krishna or Vishnu, but also actually all the 3 Gunavatars appeared, but Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva. And Atri Muni, in the verses yesterday and today, he himself expresses his bewilderment, his surprise. How come I prayed to the Supreme Lord? Why are 3 personalities coming here? And the reason is that he didn't have a proper understanding who is actually that person. He only said Jagatpati, so Lord of the universe. Whoever did it, he kind of called it out. Whoever it is, please give him this benediction. It's kind of funny, the last verse 27, how Atri Muni ends. He says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto all of you and beg to inquire, whom of you 3 I have called by my prayer? So And in today's verse he further expresses his bewilderment. And so, but in one sense, like he actually also in the previous verse, he was, when he started his prayers to those three deities, Atrimuni was saying that, "Oh Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, you have divided yourself into three bodies by accepting the three modes of material nature," and so forth.
पिछले श्लोक में अपनी अपनी प्रार्थना इसी के साथ करते हैं कि हे ब्रह्मा हे विष्णु हे शिव आपने भौतिक प्रकृति के तीन गुणों का अंगीकार करके अपने को तीन शरीरों में विभक्त कर लिया है.
So in one sense, even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are also manifestations of the one absolute truth, for the, as Atri Muni explains here, for the purpose of creation, maintenance, and dissolution.
एक तरह से देखा जाए तो ब्रह्मा और शिव भी भगवान परमेश्वर की ही उत्पत्ति है ताकि वो सृष्टि का पालन करें.
But at the same time, there is an important distinction between them. And that's, as we famously know, only possible to properly understand by, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us in Srila Prabhupada, by Achintya Veda Veda Tattva.
ये उन्हीं से प्रकट हुआ है कि उसके बाद में भिन्नता है और वो श्री रूपाल जी ने अपने महाप्रभु जैसे बताया कि वेदा वेदा उसके द्वारा हम जाते हैं.
And to really go deep in bhakti, in devotional service, we need to properly understand those distinctions, those spiritual variety.
भक्ति में वृद्धि करने के लिए हमें आवश्यक है कि हम वो भिन्नता को भी समझें.
So it is the beginning, like Atrimuni did here, to simply offer any prayer or any service to the Lord, not knowing who He is, because after all, we know the Lord is omniscient, omnipresent. So He knows, hears every single prayer what any person does anywhere, even if that person doesn't specifically address Him. But then, when we, after all, we know bhakti actually means ultimately true love, because that's, as we know, that's the nature of every single living being, that we are eternal parts and parcels of the Lord, and we eternally have pure love for the Lord. And that is one amazing phenomenon in bhakti, that we see it is simultaneously the most broad-minded, most liberal, all-encompassing. Because, as we know, for example, Prabhupada would many times quote famous verses like,
भक्ति बहुत ही खुले विचारों की है. भक्ति संकुचित विचारधारा नहीं है. इसमें सभी को समान अधिकार है. जो बात है कुछ फोर्स नहीं हो रहा है.
That he would explain, quote a verse of actually Narada Muni from Srimad Bhagavatam, how when you worship the Supreme Lord Krishna, then that is like watering the root of a tree, or putting food into the stomach, and from where the nutrients nourish the whole tree or the whole body. And Lord Krishna is extremely merciful and eager to reclaim all the fallen souls back to Him. As he explains in Bhagavad Gita in 7th chapter, how there are 4 types of persons who approach Him with ulterior motives. Perhaps many of you know the verse, we can chant together. Chaturvidha Bhajanti Mam Janasa Kitana Arjuna Arto Chikyasa Artati Yanicha Bharatashapa. So Krishna says there are persons who want material wealth, there are persons who are simply distressed, persons who want to acquire knowledge, or persons who are simply curious, inquisitive.
भगवान भगवद गीता के श्लोक में बताया चार तरीके उनके पास आना चाहते हैं एक तो दुखी है दूसरा तो धन की कामना करता है तीसरा तो ज्ञान चाहता है और चौथा तो जिज्ञासु है.
And Krishna explains in the verse afterwards that out of them, the one who actually wants to acquire knowledge of the absolute truth, he is the best among those four.
और ये श्लोक में भगवान बताते हैं इन चारों में से जो भगवान की बात में जानकारी ज्ञान चाहता है वो सबसे अच्छा है.
But then he says, actually all four of them are magnanimous souls. Udara sarva evate. So that's the beginning of that verse. Udara sarva evate, yanitva mavamimatam, astita sayuktatva mamanyavim anuttamam. That actually all of them are great magnanimous souls, but out of them, the one who is for sincerely seeking knowledge of the absolute truth is just as Krishna says, I consider him as good as my own self. So, yeah, just to get some idea, yes, Krishna, whatever, somehow or other, someone approaches him, he accepts it. But then, as I started to say before, but the real love means actually very specifically that we only want Krishna.
जो भगवान के प्रति प्रेम है वो क्या है कि हम सिर्फ यही चाहते हैं कि हमें कृष्ण भगवान को चाहें और
And for example, even in Bhagavad Gita itself, which is like the starting point to get transcendental knowledge, there I believe in the 18th chapter, 65th verse, famous verse, Manu Prabhu, there in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains how actually the really fortunate soul is not even interested in worshipping any other form of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. But rather he simply wants to worship Krishna, Lord Krishna, as he says, as he was speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield. So, and then, more advanced is Srimad Bhagavatam for those like graduate study, and then postgraduate, it's mentioned as Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually, there's one in chapter 8 of Madhya Lila, that's the conversation between Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Prabhupada actually says that this is the most important conversation that ever took place. So we might think it would be Bhagavad Gita or something else, but Prabhupada says actually it is this conversation between Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because it perfectly explains the superiority of Bhakti Yoga, and in gradually in steps takes you from all the different levels of Bhakti to from. I don't have the time now to go through everything, but eventually then from sadhana bhakti to prema bhakti, and then within prema bhakti through the 5 different rasas, which we know culminates in Madhurya yogas.
तो उसमें क्यों विशेष है संवाद, क्योंकि उसमें विशेष तौर पर सिर्फ भक्ति पर ही फोकस किया गया है संवाद में, और भक्ति को और गहराई से समझने के लिए कैसे विभिन्न चरण है भक्ति ढूंढने के, जो लोगों की तरह समय का भावना आपको इंडियन नहीं बता, साधना से पहले भक्ति का तो विभिन्न रस हैं उनके बारे में चर्चा करें।
So, and there, when it comes to the point of discussion of the love between Krishna and the gopis, which we know is the highest,
जो हम देखते हैं आगे उसमें बताते हैं कि कृष्ण भगवान गोपियों के जो संवाद है ये सबसे उच्च स्तर का माना जाता है।
So that we know from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto that during the Rasa Lila, Krishna at one point he leaves the gopis.
हम भागवत के दर्शन करने के बाद में आगे बढ़ते हैं कि एक समय ऐसा आता है जब भगवान गोपियों को छोड़ के चले जाते हैं।
And when the gopis, or rather when Krishna comes back after the gopis transcendentally so-called suffer in separation of Krishna,
और उस समय बाद जब गोपियाँ भगवान के चले जाने से संताप करती हैं तो भगवान वापस आते हैं।
then Krishna tells the gopis that I'm sorry, my dear gopis, but I cannot repay your service.
तो उस समय कृष्ण भगवान गोपियों से कहते हैं कि मैं क्षमा चाहता हूँ कि तुमने जो मेरी सेवा की है मैं उसको मैं आपका ऋण आपको ऋण से उतर नहीं सकता।
So rather, please be satisfied with your own honest activities.
और इसलिए तुम अपने खुद के कर्म कर रहे हो उसी से संतुष्ट हो।
So, yeah, but that's what we learn from there and from our Guru Parampara. That is the highest aspiration of all of us, to become such a servant where the Lord Himself says that, sorry, actually, I cannot repay your service.
हम अपने आचार्य से गुरु परंपरा से समझ के आ रहे हैं कि हमें ऐसा भक्त बनने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि भगवान उसकी आंखें में कहें कि मैं आपका ऋण नहीं उतार सकता।
If you imagine in material life, if we work very hard to please our boss, and then he says, "Oh, you did so nicely, but sorry, actually, I cannot pay you. Just be satisfied with how nicely you were working."
बहुत ही जगह पर सोच सकते हैं कि कैसा लगेगा कि आप नौकरी करने जा रहे हैं, बहुत अच्छे से बहुत मेहनत से नौकरी कर रहे हैं, नौकरी करने के बाद आपका जो बॉस है वो आपसे कहता है कि आपने बहुत सुंदर सेवा की है, बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, मैं आप पे ऋण कभी नहीं उतार सकता, लेकिन जो आपने सेवा की आप उससे संतुष्ट हैं।
So, yeah, so that itself shows us that that is a completely transcendental platform that we are talking about.
इसमें बताता है कि क्योंकि हम भौतिक जगत में इसको देखेंगे तो हमें समझ में नहीं आएगा, नहीं चलेगा कि कैसे अपने आप से बदल सकते हैं, कुछ रिवार्ड नहीं मिल पाते हैं, लेकिन ये जो भगवान का संवाद है ये कैसे संवाद है, इसके ऊपर
which, even though externally appearing as suffering, is actually the highest ecstasy.
जो देखने में लग रहा है लोगों के साथ विरह भाव जो है वो लगता है कि दुख का भाव है, लेकिन आध्यात्मिक जगत के अंदर वो सबसे उच्च कोटि का भाव है।
Which, as we know, is in the fullest manifestation in Srimati Radharani.
वो श्रीमती राधा रानी का भाव है।
So, yeah, 2 days ago we had Radhashtami, so I'll dare to speak a little bit, even though I don't have the qualification.
जानते हैं कि दोनों लड़के राधा की तो वैसे तो बोलने में उनका क्वालिफिकेशन नहीं है, उसको बोलने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
Repeating the words of Srila Prabhupada and Parampara.
जो बात या जो परंपरा के साथ है उनका तो
So we know there's one famous verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, which actually is the only verse where Srimati Radharani's name is indirectly contained.
हम जानते हैं कि भागवत के दशम स्कंद के अंदर एक जगह ऐसा आता है जहाँ पर श्रीमती राधा रानी का नाम इनडायरेक्टली बताया गया है।
So it goes like this. Anayarthamanam bhagavan hare Ishwareshwara yanno vihaya govinda pritayamayatana. So there it's explained that, rather actually, when Krishna had left the other gopis, they speak this verse in appreciation of Srimati Radharani's supreme love.
जब ये श्लोक का वाक्य है तो भगवान कृष्ण गोपियों को छोड़कर भी चले जाते रास्ते में से गोपियां ईश्वर बोलती है राधा रानी का गुणगान करने के लिए
So they explain that since we know that Krishna takes the highest pleasure in this specific pastime that we're having with him, the Ras Lila, that he still left all of us like practically unlimited number of gopis who are the most.
बता रहे हैं कि गोपियां बोलती हैं कि हम जानते हैं कि ये जो रास लीला है कृष्ण को सबसे ज्यादा आनंद प्रदान करता है लेकिन फिर भी हम लोग छोड़ के चले गए
And you know, every single one of the gopis is incomparably more beautiful and more transcendently qualified, more loving than even all of the queens in Dwarka, who are greater even than Lakshmi Devi and who.
हम जानते हैं कि गोपियां की महाराज रास लीला के अंदर वो विविधता में और सौंदर्य में द्वारका की जो महारानियां हैं भगवान की उनसे भी ज्यादा सुंदर थी और महारानियां जान द्वारका महारानियां लक्ष्मी देवी से भी ज्यादा सुंदर है तो समझ सकते हैं कितनी सुंदर थी और उसके बाद भगवान को छोड़ दिया
So what to speak of heavenly damsels or other women in the material world.
जो बाकी अप्सराएं हैं वो बहुत ही छोटी हैं तो समझे नाम
So the gopis say that from this we can infer that Krishna leaving us shows that the love that Srimati Radharani has for Krishna and Krishna has for her is completely superior to anything else.
वो गोपियों और श्लोक में बताते हैं कि हमें छोटे देने के साथ क्या हम समझ सकते हैं कि श्रीमती राधा रानी का प्रेम कृष्ण के लिए और कृष्ण का जो राधा रानी के लिए है वो हम सबसे बहुत कुछ होती है
So she must have pleased him more than all of us and anyone else can do together.
उन्होंने श्रीमती राधा रानी ने हमसे हम सब मिलकर के इतनी भगवान की सेवा कर सकते हैं उससे कहीं ज्यादा सेवा मिले इसलिए भगवान को छोड़ देते हैं
So, and yeah, Ramananda Roy at this point in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's talking about that, how Krishna, made, like he's saying that Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he made famously the promise that whoever worships me according to the degree of surrender and love, I reciprocate accordingly.
तो रावण राय आपके सभा के चंद्र उनको दर्शन कर रहे हैं भगवद गीता में प्रमाण जैसे बताते हैं कि जो जिस भाव में ध्याएगा वो उसको वैसे ही प्राप्त होगा
So here in the purport to text 890 in Madhya Lila, Srila Prabhupada is writing, it is a completely mistaken idea that one can worship Krishna in any form or in any way and still attain the ultimate result of receiving the favor of the Lord.
यहाँ पर ये बता रहे हैं कि चंद्रेगा जो शीला के बारे में बहुत ही तात्पर्य लिखते हैं ये मानना भ्रांति है कि हम किसी भी भाव में भगवान को ज्ञान में भगवान मिल जाएंगे
Now we might think that the idea of being able to worship Krishna in any form, okay, it's faulty, but still, for example, that's very popular among Mayavadis and personalists that they say you can worship any deity, ultimately it's all impersonal, all one. So we might think, okay, still they can potentially realize the impersonal feature of the Lord, so still it is transcendental.
लग सकता है कि भगवान किसी भी भाव को ढालना चाहता है कि वो अच्छा है दोषपूर्ण हो सकता है क्योंकि बड़ा है भगवान से कुछ कोई तो ज्ञान का हुआ लेकिन यहाँ पर हम देखते हैं कि मायावादी जो है वो कहते हैं कि आप किसी भी भगवान के रूप को किसी भी देवता को भगवान के पास जाओ मानना तो मेरी नहीं होगा वो भ्रांत लगता है दोषपूर्ण लगता है लेकिन फिर भी हम साधारण तौर पर काफी कुछ रहते हैं
So sometimes when we read Srila Prabhupada's purport, we might think like it looks kind of contradictory. At one place he's saying something, at another point something else. But like here, as you'll see, it's simply, we know those purports, they are not just some scholarly work, but as Prabhupada himself says, that they are his spiritual ecstasies. So in his pure love for Krishna, for Shri Radha, Prabhupada was writing down what they were telling him in the purpose. And so you'll see at different points, the acharyas and Srila Prabhupada, they will emphasize a particular point. Because, as we discussed previously, Bhakti is simultaneously very broad and also very specific, very exclusive. So in this purport, Prabhupada is explaining how important it is to be exclusive. That's why here in the next sentence, after having said that it is a completely mistaken idea that one can worship Krishna in any form, then Prabhupada is saying, this is a decision made by gross materialists. So what to speak of other demigods? Prabhupada further on he's saying, a devotee of Krishna who is attracted to the sublime, attractive features of the Lord does not consider Narayan very important. So then later Prabhupada is saying, the gopis never address Krishna as Rukmini Ramana, Vasudev Nandana, Devaki Nandana. The gopis never address Krishna as Rukmini Nandana, Vasudev Nandana. Rukmini Ramana, Vasudev Nandana, Devaki Nandana. And then Prabhupada saying, although according to a material conception, Lord Narayan, Rukmini Raman and Krishna are one and the same, in the spiritual world, one cannot use the name Rukmini Raman or Narayana in place of the name of Krishna. So Prabhupada goes here as far as calling it even a material conception to address Krishna as by one of the names of his expansions like Narayan. So Prabhupada further explains them. If one does so out of a poor fund of knowledge, his mellow with the Lord becomes spiritually faulty and is called rasabhasa, an overlapping of transcendental mellows. Because as we know, like Achimuni was addressing the Lord as Jagatpati, which refers to his Ishwareshwara, to his being the Lord, the controller of the universe. So that is the very beginning of approaching the Lord, to understand that the Lord is the creator, the controller.
भगवान तक पहुंचने का सबसे प्रारंभिक पड़ाव है। क्योंकि मानते हैं कि भगवान ने इस जगत का सृजन किया है।
But to come really to bhakti means to understand Krishna as the supreme enjoyer.
लेकिन भक्ति में आने का अर्थ है कि आप समझे कृष्ण ही परम भोक्ता है।
So, and for that we need to understand, okay, how does the Lord enjoy?
इसके लिए जानना होगा कि भगवान किस तरह से आते हैं।
So, he enjoys in through exchange of transcendental mellows of rasa between the Lord and the devotees.
मुझे जानना होगा भगवान कैसे परम भोक्ता है। भगवान विभिन्न प्रकार के रसों के द्वारा आदान प्रदान करके भोग करते हैं।
So while Lord Narayana and Lord Krishna, from tattva point of view, are non-different, they are both the Supreme Lord.
हालांकि हम जानते हैं कि भगवान कृष्ण और नारायण तत्व ज्ञान से एक हैं।
But in rasa, in personal loving exchanges between the Lord and the devotees, it is extremely important to actually be attracted and serve according to the personal features and likings of the Lord. Either Lord Narayana for devotees or in reverence you're attracted to him, or to Krishna.
तो तत्व ज्ञान से हम एक हैं, लेकिन रसों का आदान प्रदान करने के लिए प्रेम में भक्ति में रस आदान प्रदान करने के लिए कृष्ण भगवान का अलग रस है, नारायण का अलग रस है। तो भक्त का जैसा आदान प्रदान होगा भगवान उसी के हिसाब से चलना चाहिए। नारायण की भक्ति करने के लिए।
And then we know even in Krishna, he also has expansions outside of Vrindavan, such as in Dwarka and Mathura.
हम जानते हैं जैसे कृष्ण भगवान का भी आगे उनका अपना ही एक्सपेंशन होता है, जैसे द्वारका में, मथुरा में।
So, for example, but we know his supreme, most intimate dealings with his devotees he has in his original Swayam Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, Rajendra Nandana, Krishna form in Vrindavan.
लेकिन हम जानते हैं कि हालांकि वो भी अपने भगवान की एक्सपेंशन है जो मथुरा में द्वारका में, लेकिन भगवान का जो सबसे उच्च कोटि का भक्तों के साथ प्रेम का आदान प्रदान है, वो जानते हैं वृंदावन में कृष्ण भगवान।
And therefore, we know, for example, how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during Ratha Yatra, he would meditate on the verse that Srimati Radharani speaks when she meets Lord Krishna in Kurukshetra.
तो हम देखते हैं कि जब यात्रा करते हैं महाप्रभु होते हैं तो वहाँ पर राधा रानी के द्वारा किए गए एक श्लोक का उल्लेख करते हैं।
Wherein she expresses that yes, you are the same Krishna, but I'm not satisfied meeting you here. I want to be in your association in specifically only in Vrindavan.
तो राधा रानी वहाँ पर बोलते हैं कि जो रथ यात्रा है कुरुक्षेत्र में राधा रानी के भगवान कृष्ण के मंदिर का संवाद है, वो स्थान है। तो बोलती है कि मैं आप हो वही कृष्ण, मैं मानती हूँ, लेकिन आपके साथ यहाँ पर उस भाव में जो कुरुक्षेत्र के अंदर भाव है वो अलग है, और जबकि वृंदावन में जो आप बोले कृष्ण के वो अलग भाव है।
Because she perfectly understands that according to the rasa, that the Krishna who is dressed opulently, wearing a crown, and being a king, he can be served only by the queens and other devotees in Dwarka and Mathura.
ये जानने की कि और जिस भाव में भगवान जिस रस के अंदर ऐश्वर्य के साथ तो सूचित में राधा जी के वहाँ पर उस भाव के अंदर से द्वारका की जो रानियाँ हैं वही उनका रस आस्वादन करना।
But she knows that actually Krishna only does that to also reciprocate with his devotees who are attracted to those specific features of opulence.
लेकिन वो ये भी जानते हैं कि भगवान उस ऐश्वर्य भाव में क्यों आए थे, भगवान के भक्त हैं जो भगवान के साथ ऐश्वर्य रूप में आदान प्रदान करना चाहते हैं।
But she knows the highest pleasure Krishna is getting in his original form in Vrindavan with Srimati Radharani, the gopis and the other Rajabasas.
लेकिन जानते हैं भगवान का जो दिव्य प्रेम का सबसे उच्च कोटि का आदान प्रदान है, भगवान कृष्ण का वृंदावन में गोपियों के साथ आदान प्रदान है।
So now continuing with what Srila Prabhupada says about Rasabhas. He says that because of the influence of Kali Yuga, there is much Rasabhas in the name of extravagance and liberal-mindedness.
देखते हैं तो पार्टी वापस से ये तात्पर्य बता रहे हैं जो उन्होंने चैतन्य महाप्रभु और रामानंद के संवाद बताया। ये बताया रसाभास जो है कली के अंदर देखते हैं और बढ़ावा मिलेगा।
He's saying such fanaticism is not very much appreciated by the pure devotees.
क्योंकि यहाँ पर हम देखते हैं कि यहाँ पे अलग-अलग नाम से भगवान को पुकारा जाता है, लेकिन जो भगवान विष्णु जो भक्त होते हैं वो उसको पसंद नहीं करते।
So now we might generally feel that actually devotees feel a little fanatic if they say, no, we only want Krishna and even that only in Vrindavan, and we don't care about anything else in the world, about anyone else.
तो यहाँ पर देख रहे हैं कि जब हम भक्त ऐसे करते हैं कि हमें सिर्फ भगवान कृष्ण वो भी वृंदावन वाले उन्हीं का प्रति प्रेम है, उन्हीं के प्रति हमें आदान प्रदान करना है, तो बाकी दुनिया को हम थोड़े से बहुत ही फैनेटिक टाइप में हम बहुत ही एक ही विचार को प्रकट कर रहे हैं।
But Srila Prabhupada is saying here that those people who expect the Lord to reciprocate with them perfectly, even they don't care about finding out what he actually wants, who exactly he is, how his personal features are, that is, Prabhupada is saying, it goes in the name of extravagance and liberal-mindedness, but that is actually fanaticism.
लेकिन एक्चुअल में असलियत के अंदर जो ये सोचते हैं कि हम भगवान को किसी भी नाम से पुकारें, किसी भी जगह में भगवान के शुद्ध प्रेम को पा सकते हैं, वो एक्चुअल में संकुचित मानसिकता या दुनिया को दिखाने के लिए बहुत सकते हैं, बहुत ही ब्रॉड माइंडेड हम सबको एक साथ लेकर चलते हैं, किसी का भी नाम लो सब भगवान एक है, ये जो विचारधारा है कभी नहीं गलत।
But then again, those devotees understand that no, by worshipping Krishna, everyone is perfectly served and worshipped.
इसके विपरीत भक्त ये जानता है कि हम कृष्ण की पूजा कर रहे हैं, तो जितने भी बाकी वाले देवी देवता लोग हैं वो सब खुश हो जाते हैं।
And naturally, devotees don't disrespect, mistreat anyone else, no other living beings, what to speak of other forms of the Lord. They respect all the forms of the Lord and even the demigods. We understand them to be devotees of the Lord.
इसका अर्थ ये है कि भक्त भगवान के या देवी देवताओं के बाकी रूपों को अश्रद्धा करते हैं, उनको डिसरिस्पेक्ट करते हैं, वो जानते हैं कि उनके रूप में जो उनको सम्मान जरूर देते हैं, उनको भजते से कृष्ण भगवान।
But as we mentioned, true love means simultaneously broad-minded, but then actually extremely specific.
जो सच्चा प्रेम है भगवान के प्रति वो यही है कि हम सबको तो रेस्पेक्ट करें, लेकिन हमें पता है हम किसको भज रहे हैं।
For example, his Facebook Prabhu was explaining how about Srimati Radharani's extreme humility, mercy, broad-mindedness, that she doesn't want to enjoy the Ras Leela just for herself, but she wants to invite everyone.
हम देख रहे थे परसों गोकुलेश्वर प्रभु ने बताया था राधा की महिमा के अंदर राधा रानी जब रास लीला में है तो ये चाह रही थी वो ये कहती है भगवान मेरे साथ ही रास लीला में तो चाहती थी भी और लड़कियां हैं भगवान उनके साथ ही।
That's why we know Prabhupada many times would say we have to take shelter of Srimati Radharani because she will push us forward to Krishna, saying that this is a better devotee than myself.
तो इसलिए हम देखते हैं कि प्रभुपाद जी बार-बार जगह बता रहे हैं कि हमें राधा रानी की शरण लेनी है, क्योंकि राधा रानी की जब शरण लेते हैं तो राधा रानी भगवान को हमारी रिकमेंडेशन देती है और बोलती है कि ये भक्त मुझसे भी ज़्यादा श्रेष्ठ भक्त है।
But for the pleasure of Krishna, at the same time, sometimes Srimati Radharani does want to be just herself with Krishna.
भगवान के आनंद के लिए कई बार राधा रानी ऐसी सेवा भी लेती है कि वो सिर्फ भगवान की सेवा के लिए स्वयं है और कोई नहीं।
So that's discussed there then in Ramananda Roy explains that during the Ras Leela, at one point, that's text 105 in Madhya Lila. He says that finding herself treated equally with all the other gopis, Srimati Radharani displayed her tricky behavior and left the circle of the Ras dance.
अन्य गोपियों के समान ही उन्हें देख रहे हैं, तो अपनी एक चाल चल के वहाँ से चले जाते हैं।
So, and then when Krishna realized that Srimati Radharani left, then, as we said before, he left all the other gopis and he went to search for her.
और फिर जब भगवान ने देखा कि राधा रानी इस रास्ते से चली गई है, तो वो भी बाकी गोपी को छोड़ करके राधा रानी को ढूंढने चले जाते हैं।
So then in text 107 it said that being afflicted by the error of Cupid and unhappily regretting his mistreating Srimati Radharani, Madhava, Lord Krishna, began to search for her.
तो आगे भी तो बताया गया है कि राधा रानी भगवान को छोड़ के चली जाती है, लेकिन उसके बाद कृष्ण भगवान को ढूंढते रहते हैं।
So what was the Supreme Lord unhappily regretting?
इस चीज के लिए भगवान बहुत ही दुख के साथ शोक मना रहे थे,
His mistreating Srimati Radharani.
क्योंकि भगवान ने राधा रानी को ढंग से उनके साथ आदान प्रदान किया।
So what was that mistreatment?
तो क्या था ऐसा improper आदान प्रदान?
As we previously heard, Srimati Radharani, she was finding herself treated equally with the other gopis.
तो वो ये था कि उन्होंने राधा रानी को देख रहे थे कि उनको बाकी गोपियों के समान ही आदान प्रदान किया।
So then we might think, well, that's how the Lord should be. Samaham Sarvabhuteshu. They should treat everyone equally.
हमें लग सकता है कि भगवान बोलते हैं भगवान सबको एक बराबर देखते हैं, ये स्वीकार नहीं करते।
But then, even in Bhagavad Gita, there Krishna says that Ye pachanti tumam bhaktya mayi tveteshu chakyaham. But those who approach me with love, who serve me, I am in them and they are in me. I am their friend, they are friend to me.
देखते हैं भगवद गीता में भगवान बताते हैं कि वैसे मैं सबके लिए समान है, सबके लिए समान है, लेकिन जो मुझे विशेष तौर पर प्रेम करता है, मुझे रखता है, वो मेरे लिए है और उसके अंदर वो मेरे लिए है और वो मेरा फ्रेंड है।
And so here at the highest level you see even though all the gopis perfectly love and worship the Lord, that still, because Srimati Radharani's love is even greater, that Krishna not treating her differently from the others, that is a kind of mistreatment.
यहाँ भी लीला के अंदर देखते हैं कि जबकि सभी गोपियों का प्रेम भगवान के बराबर है, लेकिन राधा रानी का विशेष है। लेकिन जब राधा रानी के विशेष होने के बावजूद मुझे बराबर उसी हिसाब से आदान प्रदान वाले लोग उनको गलत व्यवहार करते हैं।
Running short of time, but I'll wind up this point with then how poetic our scriptures are. So we know how Srimati Radharani is the supreme devotee. In one sense, she is non-different from Krishna, Devi Krishna Mayi. So, if we are not in proper consciousness, when we hear those kind of things, we might feel, I already heard it many times before, okay, it's boring, let's go to some pastime.
So, कई बार अगर हम प्रॉपर सही चेतना में नहीं होंगे और हम इस लीला को सुनेंगे, तो हमें लगेगा कि ये तो बार-बार वही चीजें आ रही है, बहुत बोरिंग हो गया है, कुछ नई लीला आ रही है।
But if we actually in a proper mood, especially here, read this conversation between Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we can feel how excited the two of them are discussing those topics.
अगर हमारी चेतना अच्छी होगी, सही होगी और उसके बाद हम संवाद को आनंद आएगा, हम लोग संवाद को पढ़ेंगे, तो हमें समझ में आएगा कि उन दोनों का उत्साह कितना ज़्यादा है इस संवाद को पढ़ने में।
Because from a mundane perspective, it might seem boring that actually they are simply discussing what we learn, like after maybe joining after 6 months or something, we understand, okay, that Srimati Radharani is the supreme devotee among the supreme gopi who are the greatest, and so that Madhurya Rasa is the greatest beloved, Vatsalya, Sakhya, Dasya, and Chantaras.
समान भौतिक दृष्टि से इसको पढ़ेंगे संवाद को, मुझे लगता है इसमें क्या विशेष है, हम मंदिर से जब शहर पूरे तो उसको शामिल ना कर दिया जाए, राधा रानी को कोई करते हैं और उनका जो भगवान का रस आस्वादन है वो सबसे दिल में है, बाकी रसों के मुकाबले से नाच से खा के और रसों से ये तो हमें पता था कि नया क्या प्रॉब्लम है अगर हमारा मूड भौतिक जगत जैसा हो।
But when we read this conversation, we can feel actually how excited transcendentally Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy are by simply discussing those things, and because they feel and understand that that is a glorification personally of those great devotees, like ultimately Srimati Radharani.
सही देखने से पहले संवाद में बताया गया कि कैसे चैतन्य महाप्रभु रामानंद एकदम उत्साहित हैं और उसको क्यों भगवान के विशेष भक्तों का गुणगान करते हैं।
So even philosophy actually is very personal. Even philosophy is very personal. So Ramananda Roy in one verse here he expresses of how Krishna is not satisfied, and even in the last dance when Srimati Radharani is not there. We can keep in mind that the Lord, He, as we said, He appears in so many different, even personal forms, different avatars we read in the early cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. And among all of them, Krishna is supreme, and then even there He has his broader pastimes, material pastimes. And then among all of that, the Vrindavan pastimes are the highest pleasure. And even among all of them, the Ras Lila is that pastime which gives the Lord and His devotees the highest pleasure. But even in that pastime, Krishna doesn't find any pleasure, even with so many inconceivably beautiful and loving gopis, if Srimati Radharani is not there. So, and how beautifully Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami is expressing that. He says, the Ras dance does not shine in the heart of Krishna without Srimati Radharani. Okay, so we're short of time. We can go till 15, a few more minutes. Okay, so, but yeah, when we hear those kind of lofty topics, we are still in beginning stages. Then there's early on in Madhya Lila one very beautiful pastime, famous, which I feel is something we can read more often. That is the pastimes of Srila Madhavendra Puri. So we don't have the time to go through the pastime, but there after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had told the pastime, then he appreciates the service of Srila Madhavendra Puri. And there he says, just we have to mention that. So Krishna, Lord Gopal, who appeared to Srila Madhavendra Puri and told him to get help from some other Rajavasis to take him out of the bushes where he was hidden after the Muslims early on had invaded, to take him out, and then he installed him on Govardhan Hill. And then, even after having brought so many pots of water for Abhishek of Gopal and made so many offerings for many days from various villages who were assisting in that way,
उसके बाद कई दिनों तक आसपास में जितने भी गाँव वाले थे वो सब बहुत सारे मन के भर भर के पानी लाते हैं भगवान का अभिषेक करते हैं.
still Lord Gopal told Madhavendra Puri that he's still feeling hot, so that Madhavendra Puri please go to Nilachal to bring some sandalwood pulp.
वो इतना अभिषेक करने के बाद इतने पानी के अभिषेक के बाद भी भगवान को अब गर्मी गोपाल को बहुत गर्मी लगती है. भगवान को जो बात को बोलते हैं कि मेरे लिए विशेष तौर पर उड़ीसा के पास इलाके में जाकर वहाँ से चंद्र देखा.
So for that, Srila Madhavendra Puri had to walk for thousands of miles in his kind of old age and with so many difficulties to go and beg for sandalwood. He didn't even have money, he was renunciate. So the Lord gave him an order which brought so many difficulties for him. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls this order that Lord Gopal gave as Gopalera Agya Amrita, as the nectarian order of Lord Gopal. And Srila Prabhupada in a purport there, he explains that it is the natural result of intense love of Godhead that a devotee does not consider his personal inconveniences or impediments. Rather, in all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada says, in all circumstances, even amidst the greatest dangers, they undeviatingly carry on with the greatest determination. So even if greatest dangers are there, rather than giving up, even Prabhupada says, undeviatingly, so means not even doing it any different way, but fully that order and with greatest determination declaring. So, yeah, because if we follow in such a way, then the Lord will reciprocate in our heart so much that the pleasure we get is greater than any inconveniences we might face. So, yeah, like Srila Jiva Goswami, he mentioned in one purport, it's mentioned there that even to consider oneself a follower of the gopis without following in their footsteps, even that is as offensive as considering oneself to be one with the Lord. So for us to eventually even try to come to such high levels of love that we discussed, our link is through the Guru Parampara, through Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters. And that was so amazingly exhibited by Srila Prabhupada himself, who took the order of his spiritual master as his life and soul. So if we, like we said, a beginning of love actually starts with commitment.
और ऐसा कहा गया है कि प्रेम का जो पहली पड़ाव है वो है कि आप दृढ़ हो एक दूसरे पर।
So of course we might feel that sometimes following all the rule regulations and just following our authorities might seem dry and like, when will I ever get love for Krishna?
कई बार मैंने सोचा है कि वो कोई बात नहीं आवश्यकता में विभिन्न नियम बनाए हैं। उन नियमों को पालन करते करते आपको लग सकता है कि क्या चल रहा है ये उनका मन का प्रेम तो उनका नहीं, लेकिन आपको लगे रहना है।
But like my spiritual master, Ishwareshwara Devamrita Swami Maharaj, he many times for that gives the example of in a relationship between husband and wife, how loyalty is actually an expression of love.
तो प्रभु जी बता रहे हैं कि उनके गुरु महाराज हैं जो देव महाराज को कई बार एक उदाहरण देते हैं कैसे पति पत्नी के जीवन के अंदर एक दूसरे के प्रति श्रद्धा और उनका पूरा समर्पण एक तरह से प्रेम दर्शाता है।
So if, like, for example, the husband might still feel some attraction when he sees some other beautiful woman, but if he uses his intelligence to control himself and say, okay, no, I don't want that, I love my wife, I just want to be with her.
कई बार जीवन में ऐसा हो सकता है कि प्रभु जी भी एग्जाम्पल होता है पति पत्नी का, पति किसी और भाई से जो देखते तो लगे बहुत सुंदर है, लेकिन उस समय उसको अपनी बुद्धि का प्रयोग करते हुए नहीं मैं कमिटेड हूँ अपनी पत्नी के साथ, मुझे यही के साथ जीवन करना है।
So then that is also an expression of love.
वो भी तरह का प्रेम भाव।
So if we also follow very nicely our authorities, Srila Prabhupada, then gradually we will more and more revive our dormant love for Shri Shri Radha.
अगर किसी तरह से श्री प्रभुपाद के द्वारा दिए गए आज्ञाओं का पालन करेंगे तो धीरे धीरे हमारे अंदर सुषुप्त अवस्था में भगवान का प्रेम है वो जागृत होगा।
Okay, sorry for taking so much time. Thank you so much for listening and for having allowed me to be around here for 1.5 weeks. And I took so much service from devotees. Please forgive all my offenses. And yeah, one day if anyone comes to Australia, please visit Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir. Yeah.
प्रभु जी बता रहे हैं कि एक तो पहले क्षमा मांग रहे हैं कि समय और मुझे को ज़्यादा लिया है, वो पिछले 1.5 सप्ताह से हमारे मंदिर में आए हुए हैं और वो किसी न किसी रूप में अलग-अलग भक्तों की सेवा ले रहे हैं, उसके लिए मुझे बहुत शुक्र है। लेकिन वो आप सभी भक्तों को आमंत्रित करते हैं कि अगर आप कभी ऑस्ट्रेलिया जाते हैं तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में जिस लोग राधा गोपीनाथ के मंदिर है आप वहाँ पर अवश्य घूमने संभव।
Just as Shri Shri Radha Giridhari are extremely beautiful and merciful, also Shri Shri Radha Gopinath and Siddha are extremely beautiful and merciful.
जिस तरह से हमारे श्री राधा गिरधारी जी बहुत सुंदर हैं और बहुत कृपालु हैं, उसी तरह से श्री राधा गोपीनाथ जी ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लोग बहुत सुंदर कृपालु हैं।
Grantharachima Paksam Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
प्रभु जी का आभार करते हुए हरे कृष्ण।